David here with Figboot on Pens. Last week was the DC Pen Show, which bills itself as the largest pen gathering in the world. What I thought I would do today is recap a bit of the show and give you an idea of what goes on at the DC show. Now, I only purchased 2 things at the show. I'll share those with you. But I did receive a number of items for reviews, so I'll give you a little sneak preview of those things as well. This video is going to hit on just some of the highlights of the show. It's not going to be necessarily a comprehensive overview of the show. If you care to see something a little bit more detailed, I'd suggest checking out Mike from Inkdependence, his channel. He did a live stream where he walked virtually the entire show floor. You know what, I might even make an appearance near the end of that video. It's worth watching if you'd like to see what really goes on at a show. While at the show, I recorded 3 reviews of very special pens as well. 2 of those reviews you will see in the upcoming weeks. The other one, we'll see. I wasn't necessarily pleased with the way that one turned out, so I need to look at the footage to see if I feel the same way now in the aftermath. So who knows? One review might not see the light of the day. We'll see. This was my 3rd trip up to the DC show. This is the 2nd year at the new venue, and things ran considerably smoother on Friday than last year. I don't necessarily want to rehash the issues the show experienced last year, but it was nice to see a marked improvement in regard to the organizational issues that vendors experienced last year, which ultimately led to a number of vendors deciding not to attend this year's show. Now, no show goes off without a hitch, but like I said, it was nice to see organizational improvement. I think the biggest issue that vendors had this year was having to deal with the hotel Wi-Fi. It was an additional expense for the vendor to gain an access to the Wi-Fi for the duration of the show, and so most vendors chose not to make that purchase, so they had to rely on their cellular networks to process card transactions. And the cell signal was rather spotty in the room, so there was vendors who would literally have to leave their table and walk to a window in order to process every transaction. So that was an ideal situation. The crowd Friday was decent. I've said this several times, but in my opinion, Friday is the best day to attend a show. You get first pick of inventory, the crowds aren't as large as they are on Saturday, and vendors aren't quite as slammed, so they have more time to talk and to socialize. For me, when I attend to shows, I really enjoyed the social aspect of the show more than the retail aspect. Each show is a big family reunion. I've been fortunate to make some great friends in the pen community, and I enjoy catching up with everyone at shows. Before the show, I had received a couple of polo shirts from Colorverse. I thought it would be fun to have a little scavenger hunt. On the first 2 days of the show, I would hide these little Colorverse Felicette logos somewhere in the room, and then I'd announce it on Instagram. The person that found Felicette and brought her to me would then win the shirt. This is Jake. He won the shirt on Friday. And then here's Eric, the winner from Saturday. It was funny because on Saturday, this was the hint that I had posted. When Eric arrived at the show, he was running around asking hotel staffers where the piano was. And he received some strange looks. Usually folks don't urgently need to use a piano. It was in the very far corner in the back hallway just outside the main hall, so it was pretty well hidden. Here's Paul Arano presiding over this year's gathering of the Black Pen Society, which is a not-so-secret club where Paul is the Grand Poobah. The main purpose of the Black Pen Society is an excuse to gather together to smoke cigars and drink scotch, but the real purpose is to unite everyone in the pen community. Historically, this has been a gathering of a group of older gentlemen, but lately a large number of younger folks have joined in as well. It helped that this year the gathering was actually inside as opposed to outside, and it was rather close to the bar, so a lot of people gravitated over to the area to take part in the pomp and circumstance that is the Black Pen Society. It was great to meet and hang out with lots of viewers. It was fun to find out where folks were from and what they had discovered at the show. Word of mouth is very strong at a show. Where did you get that is a commonly overheard question. In my opinion, the table getting the largest amount of buzz this year was Yoshi's with pen 18111. Anna Reinert from the Well-Appointed Desk had picked up one of his pens and was showing it off to me, and I decided right then and there that I had to have one. I was very close to picking up this pink one. This is just stunning. But I found something that I cared for even more, and I'll show you in a bit when I go over my haul. After I picked up one of my own, I know of at least 2 other folks whom I basically pen envied into purchasing one of Yoshi's pen of their own. So tables are like that at a show. They're like a virus sometimes. Their influence kind of spreads throughout the attendees. DC is a place to discover new products. This is a pen from Additive Pens. It has a unique 3D printed double helix chamber inside the design. Look for these to be more readily available later on this year. Noodler's had a special ink for the show called Boston Mueller. It's an ink that writes in red, but if you wipe it with a wet cloth, what remains is an invisible blue ink you can see under a black light. Nathan Tardif, the man behind Noodler's ink, has never shied away from making political statements with his ink. There was the Eagle Pen Company, which had a couple of interesting products. One was a pen made from some wood reclaimed from the White House. They also made pens with various watch faces and parts, which were actually bent around the barrel and the cap. I ran into this woman in the hotel lobby. She had made up this custom shirt for the show, and I got a kick out of it. I went to the show without a shopping list, which can be dangerous, but I stayed disciplined. I only picked up a couple of things, so in order to take a closer look at what I picked up, as well as some other things, let's go over here to camera 2. Okay, let's take a look at some loot. I mentioned that I only purchased a couple of things. Well, 2 things actually. The first thing is from Story Supply. Now, Story Supply had begun coming out with new notebooks on a quarterly basis themed around books and movies. The first notebook that they came out a few months ago was called the Ithaca, which is a themed book based on Homer's Odyssey. Their latest in this series, however, is this one here, called the SMR. And this one's actually based on a movie, a classic surfing documentary from back in 1966 called Endless Summer. I haven't even opened these up yet, so let's go ahead and open these up. It even has a little surfing sticker in the back, which is pretty cool. But inside here, you can see here, probably a good way to look at it right here is you can see this picture of the wave between the front and the back cover. That growing up in San Diego, I feel I have a strong connection to surf culture, and so these were pretty much an insta-buy for me as soon as I saw them. Check out how Story Supply has these displayed at their booth. It's a little sandbox. In my opinion, this was the most creative product display in the entire show. Okay, next up is something that I feel is very special that I spoke about earlier. And it is a pen from Pen 18111. Now, check this out. This model here is called Night Sky Sakura. Stunning is an understatement for this pen. I'll get deeper into what makes this pen so special, in my opinion, when I review it. But just to know the techniques used by Yoshi are incredible. Each of these little flowers are actually engraved into the acrylic and then painted over, basically to fill in so that the pen can maintain its smoothness and these flowers aren't going to wear off. It really gives a beautiful look to these cherry blossom flowers. And then check out this roll stop. This thing is incredible. This branch is really what sealed the deal for me with this pen. I think it is extremely cool, and I really love this deep blue. But like I mentioned before, I came really close to picking up that pink model I showed earlier. This pen is just brilliant. I am extremely pleased with my purchase on this, and I have it sitting on my desk right now just because I can't stop looking at it because I love it that much. After picking this pen up, I actually took it over to Franklin Christoph to trade out the two-toned standard Yovo nib it came with for a Franklin Christoph nib. There's nothing wrong with the original nib. I just like the looks of the Franklin Christoph nib better. At the Franklin Christoph table, they actually had a nice little memorial for Jim Rouse with a picture. Brad Dowdy had these Coke bottles made up with Jim's name on them, which was a real nice gesture. Jim had a can of Coke at his side pretty much at all times. Another friend at the show actually had these cans made up, these can wraps, and we're handing out a few cans to folks. So if you see this can in the background in any of my videos, you'll know what it is. Each day, there was a specific number. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but there was a specific number of folks that was go ahead and receive this special edition Monteverde ink. It is the DC Super Show Blue. And this is what the color looks like. Now, from what I understand, this is a new formula, not just a repackaging of an existing color. And it's a nice deep blue. And so I'll have to try that out. So I have a number of items that were provided to me that I'll be reviewing in the upcoming months. First of all, from luxury brands, that I have the new pen from Platinum, and this is the Procyon. It is a metal pen, and the first run of these pens is actually going to come with 3 special edition ink cartridges. This pen is going to retail around the $50 range, which is kind of a new market for Platinum. So I'm going to enjoy taking a look at this one and checking it out. It has some promise to it. Next up is a pen from Heinz Pens. This pen is made by Jim Heinz, who's based out of Texas. And let me get it out of the box. This is what his wood box looks like. And that this is what I picked up. I've been into orange pens lately, and I thought this one had a nice creamsicle look to it. So, now I look forward to playing around with that. But now that I look at it, I kind of have a craving for ice cream. But yeah, I thought this one had a nice creamsicle look to it. And it's a decent acrylic that Jim makes himself. And I'm looking forward to playing around with this one and seeing how it performs. Next up, we have a pen from Le Bon, which they didn't have a box for, so they gave me a little leather case for this. So when I end up reviewing this and giving it away, you'll also get a nice leather case. And here, if I can get it out of here, and here is the pen. This model is called the Taroko. And this version is called Mystery Valley. I thought it had an interesting, almost stone-like look to the material. And that's what the nib looks like there, kind of a two-tone nib with the Le Bon stamp on there. So again, I look forward to checking that out and playing around with it. I mentioned before that DC is a great place to discover new companies, and the last 2 things I have to show you are from companies that I was not familiar with prior to the show. I have this pen here, which is from a company from India called Socializing, and their pens are made for wood. Let me go ahead and get it out of here. This is what the pen looks like. And this model is called the Crown. Basically a reference to the finial here, which is very crown-like. And then on the top of the crown, we actually have a piece of labradorite. It's an interesting look and a bit different from other pens that have been coming out of India. And so we'll be taking a look at that one down the line. And then also, with this pen, it came with a nice leather sleeve as well. Then, finally, I have a pen here from a pen company that was brand new to me out of Taiwan by the name of Penlux. They had a number of interesting looking pens at their table, but I picked up this one. It is called the Metallica. It's made of a high-grade aluminum alloy, and it is a metal piston filler. I thought it really had an interesting look to it. that it has a nice weight and a nice feel to it, with a nice large ink window here. And you can see here the piston that goes back and forth. There's even a ratcheting mechanism here when you get to the end that you can hear. But again, this is another one that I can't wait to ink up. I have a lot of pens I need to ink up and play around with, and then get around to review. And like I said, all these things that that were provided to me, then most likely will be given away, so you have a chance to win all of these things down the line. So there is a little sneak peek at some of the things I picked up, which you will be seeing here in the near future on my channel. The DC show this year was outstanding. It's an event I greatly look forward to each year. It's great to see lots of pens, but what keeps me coming back to the show, as well as other shows, is the people. I really enjoy hanging out with old friends and making new ones as well. If there's a pen show in your area, it's something that I would highly recommend you check out. And if you could ever make it out to the DC show, then all the better. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I spoke to lots of folks attending their very first show, and when I would ask them how they felt about the experience, most of them said it was overwhelming. There is a lot to take in, but in the end, it's worth it. Finally, another thing I do when I'm in DC, not just when I'm at the pen show, is visit the Lincoln Memorial. It's one of my favorite places on the National Mall. I know that each year when I do my DC recap, I talk about this, but you get it again this year. Whenever I visit the memorial, I always walk up to Abe and check him out for a while. If you turn to the left, engraved on the wall is the Gettysburg Address, and on the opposite wall is Lincoln's second inaugural speech. Both speeches talk about bringing the country together in a time of marked divisiveness. It's a message that was important 150 years ago and is even more important and relevant today. I always stand where Martin Luther King stood and look out onto the reflecting pool and imagine what it had been like to be there on that historic day. And then I head over to the Vietnam Memorial. It's only 100 yards away or so from the Lincoln Memorial, but it really feels a world away from the bustle of that area. I always walk up to the reference books and I look up a name. I know where it is on the wall, but I still look it up anyways. The memorial is a beautiful monument that offers a place for quiet reflection on those lost during the Vietnam War. Now, I didn't know anyone who lost their lives in the war, but there is someone on the wall that I visit. And it's someone with my exact name, first, middle, and last. He passed away very close to the day I was born. Army Staff Sergeant David Allen Parker was a Special Forces medic from San Angelo, Texas, who died in early 1968 after he volunteered for an 8-man surveillance mission, and it cost him his life. And I feel that the least I can do is stop by whenever I'm in town and say hello. So, that's it for another year at the DC Pen Show. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at things. It's a show I would highly recommend you attend if you ever get the chance. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.